Thank you very much, Rajesh and Ritesh. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on this platform with you guys. I think today's discussion is very, very important. Let me just build some context for us. New flywheel. I think product-led versus platform-led growth, and the key word I have been hearing is ecosystem-led growth as well. So I think these are two sort of a word which have come into a use many a time. I mean, today there is no discussion which is happening where we are not talking about ecosystem. We're not talking about platform or a product-led growth. Now, let me also tell you, when we are researching across 2,500 enterprises in the country uh, and their transformation journey, there was five pillars which emerged, prominently. The first one was very quickly is the leadership pillar, and it's no brainer to anybody. But what happened was a new playbook, old leadership won't work. Old playbook, new leadership won't work. And I think what's happening is people are adapting to the new style of leadership with a new playbook. And why this is happening? Because customer playbook has changed. Whether you are a B2B business, whether you are a B2C business, I think that's prominently is changing. I think the second pillar, which is very important, is operating. I would call it digital operations have now played a very important role and accelerated in last 2.5 years during the pandemic and now in the endemic side. And this playbook is not going to go back to original normalcy in 2019 December side. We have seen factories operating at a now 90% capacity with only 40% labor. Shop floors have been automated. Government smart cities have been kind of working very aggressively on it. We have looked at smart campuses, we have looked at smart buildings, green buildings. I think those are the areas you look at it, the operations have changed, the digital operating model has changed and emerged prominent to us. The third pillar, which is very important, is the pace of innovation. And I think innovation itself will not drive sustainable competitive differentiation for any organization. So, what is the sustainable competition differentiation? Is basically saying how fast I can innovate better, because that's the only way I can take the leadership position. And that's where pace of innovation as a pillar comes up very prominently. Fourth is ecosystem. I think no organization can actually work in silo today. Today we have, TCS as one, probably sort of a company, as a blue chip company in the country, which is being taken into consideration from every aspect, from helping government, helping enterprises, helping customers achieve invariably exponential value. And then we have a Red Hat, Ritesh, with us today, where Red Hat is a platform product-led company partnering with enterprises and service providers such as yourself to provide such kind of ecosystem and innovation, pace of innovation to the organizations. And the fifth pillar, very nicely and importantly, is a platform. So, as we speak, most of the people have started talking about moving from a technology to the platform side. So, these are the five pillars which we saw. Prominently, people have started working on blueprinting their transformation, blueprinting their next growth within the organization, relying on much look after sort of a partners like yourself, TCS, and Red Hat. I'm coming to you, Rajesh, first. Hearing these five pillars from our research perspective, but I'm sure TCS have also been working on the ground with the customer. You would have got much wider, broad, and in-depth experience. Your viewpoint around the transformation and what customers are looking at, very important for us. Over to you.
Hey, thank you, Shalil, and it's really my pleasure to be here with you and Ritesh, and a very exciting topic in the sense, I guess, the terms about innovation, scale. I think this is something very close to heart, right, from a TCS standpoint. And when you talk about these five pillars, I think they are very relatable in terms of what we do in the market. So if I were to reflect back on the 4 or 5 decades where we have been partnering with government organizations as well as large private enterprises and also the regulatory bodies. I think these journeys have been quite long. It has started with certain perspectives in mind, but the entire thing has changed, right? And we have moved along with times with the customers. So if you really look at the way we really look at it from all the work that we are doing in India, it's really about the scale, right? From an India standpoint, whatever you do, it needs to scale. Like you have large scales, large volumes, a huge population to cater to. So scale becomes important from whatever solutions we develop. The second aspect that we really look at it is in terms of reach, in the sense we have a geographical spread where the solutions have to reach in various contexts, whether it's about the network availability, whether it is about the physical road accessibility. So whatever solutions you design have to always keep the reach in mind. So that is something that goes behind the solutions. The third thing is about resilience, in the sense you really have challenging situations on the ground, and how resilient are your solutions? How resilient is your design thinking behind your solution? I think that plays a very important role for us. And the last, I think you touched upon it, is the innovation. Like without innovation, I don't think anyone can survive in today's environment. Uh, when I talk about this, there are a lot of examples that come into my mind when we look at it from a government or an enterprise standpoint. Like, I think passport services is a well-known example of what we have been able to do with government. I think the entire design thinking in terms of how the process could work, and then going across the various challenges, setting it up and actually running it for all the citizens. I think it's a very prestigious project for us. We have been able to revolutionize the way passport issuance is carried out. And the key part of it is that journey is continuing into the next step as we further look at how it can be further simplified, how we can cater to the entire global market along with that. So that is one thing that comes to mind. Some of the other projects or programs that we have been engaged with similar attributes like the scale and reach we're talking about, is we have been able to do solutioning for almost 14 utilities, power utilities across 14 states, where we have been able to put in solutions which have helped from a revenue management perspective, from a transmission loss management perspective. I think, and that is another solution where it requires a lot of technologies coming together to put that on the ground. So the examples are many in the sense, if you really look at platforms and products, more than 150 banks, including the large bank, works on a TCS product platform. And all these platforms, like while the domain solutions are there, these need to be engineered together along with partners and a much larger ecosystem for it to work. There are numerous examples. Like I think I will not get into
I
that,
know,
but
Rajesh.
there are, whether it is insurance, whether it is telecom, that there are various examples that come to mind. But the key thing that really works here, Salil, in my view, is the contextual and domain knowledge of these customers. I think what has really helped is the long-term association with these customers, the context in which these solutions are getting built, and of course, when we really look at it in terms of the processes that have to be redefined for the solution to work, all this needs to come together for one to be really successful and take the solutions to the market. So that is how I relate to the pillars on a larger perspective. I think we do operate on the business 4.0 framework, which is similar, but we can discuss it in a separate context.
Absolutely, Rajesh. I think because research will tell us what enterprises are doing, and you are already working with the enterprises and government, so you can relate to all of these pillars. So pretty much there. Ritesh, I'm coming to you as you saw Rajesh talking about in India. If you can't scale anything, then your solution is not a worth value addition to either government or either enterprises, right? Now, what is the scale we look at it is flexibility, have open standards, non-proprietary frameworks, next generation architecture, which can be built on providing the next cutting edge solutions, I would call it. I think of late I've seen India is one country which would like to leapfrog from an evolution curve and directly jump into many more cutting edge technology. Now we are hearing one of the data centers is opening 300 data centers as edge computing data centers, right? And OpenStack and you're partnering with many of such players like TCS. It is your viewpoints on, first of all, business transformation as pillars, and how is Red Hat getting prepared for such support in the ecosystem?
Sure. Thanks, Salil. I think again, I would like to call out that thank you so much for calling us here and giving us this opportunity today. So I think Rajesh clearly put the perspective right that where the industry is heading, where the businesses are heading, where we look at Salil. It's today's businesses they operate in a world of increasing complexity characterized by higher data volumes, faster business cycles, and even more demanding customers, right? Because that time has gone wherein it used to be a straightforward product fit or a solution fit required by the customer. Now it is so complex that every day it is changing. The demands are changing not only for the customers, but the customer who are catering to their own customers, right? So the need for change is greatly, depending on what kind of partnerships you are choosing, what kind of ecosystem you are working with, and how you are really going ahead and delivering that technology or a solution to the end customer. Now, again, digital transformation, as we used to talk about in earlier days, which I could attribute to a pre pandemic kind of era. But when we are now out of the pandemic or towards the endemic, as you said, this digital transformation has actually converted into a acceleration mode. Now, gone are those days wherein the customer will, come and define a problem to you, and they will then wait for someone like a OEM like Red Hat or TCS, come back and deliver that solution or propose that solution. They really, what they expect from all of us today is that we should be ready to come and deliver that on day one. That is the kind of pace the customers are talking and they are looking forward to. So that's how I would, really put together what you and Rajesh have defined those five pillars, right? But the need for pace is increasing day by day, and what you really need to be geared up on, how you are able to upskill your people, and how you can really cater to the newer technologies which are coming in the market today. Right? So
Sure,
that's how
sure.
I put it across.
Absolutely, Ritesh. So I think one important point which you very well related is space. Uh, and pace has many dimensions to it. I simply call this pace as changing customer playbook, right? When their behaviors are changing. If you look at banking, I don't know whether you still go to a branch or not. I don't think anybody is going to a branch. Whereas internet banking was 10% and 90% was branch banking. Suddenly, in 2.5 years, it's vice versa. 10% is branch banking and 90% is internet banking. So I'm sure when TCS is giving us solutions to the banking community, they have to rethink themselves as the changing behavior. In manufacturing, I think reordering is around 70%. So all specification has to be digitized, and the asset needs to be digitized such that people don't need to really interact. They can reorder 70% of the time they want to do it. So some shop floor automation, instead of having a connected products, we are looking at shop floor automation. In 2000 December 19, I think fan was connected, your phone was to your phone, then you have appliances connected, your fridge is getting connected. It was connected products. Now we are not talking about connected products. We're really talking about shop floor automation where without people we can actually manufacture still, right? The data centers are still working. So I think fair to say customer expectations have changed, right? Am I correct to say that, Rajesh and Ritesh both, right? If very briefly. Now,
Absolutely.
okay. Now, when the customer's expectations have changed, many fold and many dimensions, but one important point which has come out is integration. I mean, I don't have to rely on X solution and an X product from a market, then move on to Y, then to C, to A, to Z. and create a fragmentation value chain for me, and I am managing that fragmentation, or I'm taking a help of a partner like TCS to do that management. Now, today as a customer, and specifically the enterprise customer, the government customer, looking end-to-end solution, my expectations are very different. My relationship with you is not a vendor relationship. My relationship is a partner relationship, not for today, but for tomorrow, for the next 5 years, 10 years of progress and the growth I'm making, which is very demanding actually. And Rajesh, again, I'm going to start with you on this chapter. When customers' expectations are end to end, and customers are and relationship and experience matters a lot now, it is very demanding. And when it is very demanding, you would need to really innovate to work with them, and as an ecosystem. You can't work as solely alone player. How are you working with the ecosystem, Rajesh? How are you meeting the exponential demand of customers and building that solid relationship?
No, I think very, very well put, Shalil. In the sense, the traditional project, okay, it no longer exists. It's no longer about an RFP and the customer defining for you what is needed and you trying to respond to it. I think it's no longer that context. See, the customer expectations overall from partners like TCS or even Red Hat, or there is a host of partner ecosystem that we integrate with. The expectations are very different now in terms of what you bring to the table, what is the thought leadership that you bring to the table. Are you willing to co-innovate with the customers? Are you willing to co-create with the customers? And what is your philosophy behind that? And how are you enabled to do that? I think that is the key critical thing. So more and more as we engage with customers, it is about creating something new, right? It's not about just automating an existing process or putting in a definition for a new product. It's no longer that. It's about innovating. It is about creating a new capability. It is about creating a new business. And how do we really engage? How do we really bring? It's not about a mere point solution. A point solution is no longer going to work. Okay, so if I go with a single point solution, that doesn't work. You have to bring in the technology innovation into it. You have to bring in the process innovation on it. You have to get in the flexibility. You have to see how you are really defining this, leveraging the power of cloud data altogether. Now, when you really look at this, there is no other go other than a partner ecosystem. You cannot alone put everything together and say this is my solution. However much you might want to do that, but that's not the reality. You have to work very closely with partners. And what it means is the alliances and the strategic relationships that you have with the partner ecosystem is extremely crucial. As TCS, we are heavily invested into it for a number of years. We continue our investments in it. The trick is about how do you create solutions together with partners and get them to work. Like, so we do a lot of investment, not only on a talent pool building in terms of having the scale to build out the solutions for the customers, but also creating new innovative offerings along with partners. And that can only be possible when you bring together things. There are niche technologies that you need to bring together. If you look at banking, you talked about you hardly go to a bank. Various technologies, right? There are video technologies, there are security aspects that one need to really look at because you are doing a financial transaction at the end of it.
Yeah.
Now, you have to get all these things together. And what really helps is understanding the customer environment. If you do not understand the kind of customer environment, the customer's competition, I don't think you can put together the strong solution together. So our thought process is very clear. We work very closely with partners. We make significant investments right throughout, whether it is about technology talent pooling, whether it is about creating pilots which can be showcased. These are fail fast kind of things, right? You create something, you take them to the customer, you test it out, you fail fast, you try and move on to the next thing. So unless that continuous innovation, and if you can do it with pace, which is possible with partners, once you master that, I think you can really put together a solution and start matching the customer expectations to some level. I don't think there is a very any easy answer to match all the customer expectations. Okay.
Absolutely, Rajesh. I think, and they're changing also. So next time when you go and meet a customer, the expectation suddenly changes, and it has moved on as well. Ritesh, I think you heard Rajesh, right? And heavily invested with the partners to create new solutions and co-innovate with customers, I think is the way forward. Fantastic way to look at how partner ecosystem should work. We are also hearing, Ritesh, a word called hybrid. Something physical and digital becomes hybrid. Workforce is now becoming hybrid. Solutions are becoming hybrid. We have started hearing a word called cloud kitchen. I would have never imagined in my life something called cloud kitchen exists as a word, right? But now it means a lot. This hybrid is a way forward, and I'm sure in independency, neutrality, and open stack, Red Hat would have adopted a strategy which would help customers achieve the hybrid architecture, hybrid cloud, hybrid workforce, and so. Your From a Red Hat perspective, how are you taking that strategy forward with TCS?
Okay, so Salil, first of all, I would like to build upon what Rajesh said, and the kind of commitment and innovation TCS has always played along with Red Hat, right? So, and TCS actually has been leveraging Red Hat's open innovation to deliver solutions for various industries, like banking, financial, insurance, telecom, retail, government, and so on, right? The list goes on. And the basic essence, I would say, for this partnership, it's the combination of the deep industry experience and a very matured open source practice, which they had been able to develop over a period of time. And now coming back to your question, which is the world is moving towards hybrid, and how Red Hat really look upon this hybrid journey. So look, there's a big buzzword going on, right? So it's a hybrid cloud, and some kind of cloud computing, somewhere you will hear, and there are various attributes to it, Salin, and we keep hearing various definitions towards it. Now, how do we approach, right? So I think with the so much of change happening around us, around the digital adoption, I would say, today's organizations are actually looking to develop and operate a mix of applications to cater to their rapidly evolving business needs. Now, what approach do we take to help the customers implement a open hybrid that is built around three tenets? That's what we really focus upon. So first, start with a hybrid cloud infrastructure that is built from grounds up to enable flexibility, choice, control, security, and agility for thriving business. Point number two, getting all the pieces together and form a strong development team of developers so that they are able to build and deploy the modern applications which are required for the future. So, and on top of it, for example, if the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is RHEL for us, is the open operating system for the customer,
Yep,
then invariably, the Red Hat OpenShift container platform becomes the common platform, bridging traditional and modern applications across the hybrid cloud. And the number of best of breed middleware solutions can be deployed in OpenShift itself. And in addition, also infrastructure elements like storage, everything are integrated into OpenShift, which actually allows application portability without cumbersome and expensive application, which rewrites or any kind of downtime. Now, the third tenet, which is the most important one, when you do all of these things, right, what comes to play is the management, and what you were talking about Salil, some time back, is the real integration and automation, right? So finally, the management tools to orchestrate those workloads and automation tools to simplify that day-to-day operations are really essential to deliver the complete value of the hybrid cloud. So that is
sure.
how in totality, Salil, we look at, when it comes to Red Hat on the hybrid cloud.
Thank you, Ritesh, for throwing a spotlight on how you look at this environment going forward. And importantly, when you said that the key tenants has to be integrated, seamlessness, interoperability, because customers are expecting an end-to-end value. You cannot deliver until you have this interoperability, openness. And the last part for before we close our discussion today, I think we discussed what's happening in the past and today, but things are changing drastically for tomorrow, right? I mean, I've recently heard, Rajesh, that we can renew our passport without going to a passport office. So I think it's a big change, right? Obviously, you would have played a very important role in driving those changes. We are hearing you can buy a flat or a house by looking at a metaverse sort of a technology, rather than physically visiting a place, which could be a troublesome, and at the same time it requires energy, time of a person to be there. So we are hearing drastic changes the way we will operate in the future. I would be a billionaire if I can predict what's happening in the future. But I think what I'm trying to build is the nature of the future is changing very fast. Now, many a times we heard, what will happen in the future. We will cross the bridge once we reach there. But it's actually not true. We need to be prepared today for tomorrow, and that's where most of the strategic gurus, professors, economists, think tanks have been talking to us, right? I can't leave this conversation today without having that discussion, right? And wanted to hear from you, Rajesh. What are the things one should be doing today as TCS or as customers, etc.? And I'll come to Ritesh, to you as well, to be really ready for tomorrow, because otherwise it will be very late and your relevance will be lost.
A very, very interesting question, Salil. In the sense, it's always fun to predict the future, right? In terms of what is going to happen. But see, as we talk to customers more and more, see, growth and transformation has always been one of the key engines for us. And so you have a cost optimization on one side and a growth and transformation kind of programs on one side. And really speaking, in through our conversations with customers, what is really coming out is you talked about the operations as one of the pillar. Now, if you take that itself as one of the examples, now operations are no longer what they used to be, right? When you're doing operations management, it's all about digital operations. You are having a digital interactions with everyone in your supply chain. It's not just with your customers or with your consumer. Your entire supply chain has to be digitally enabled, and to manage that effectively and to be able to predict what is happening in market real time is one of the key investments for everyone. And
True.
unless you have that right, I don't think you'll be able to survive, because as you said, yes, you're doing more and more things from a contactless perspective, from a touchless perspective. It's just you think and you have it in front of you. There are various examples in terms of the predictive analytics that people are using to manage their supply chain. And I think you have to bring in these capabilities. And of course, there are platforms and technologies which help you scale to the extent that you want in this area. So I think digital operations, digital supply chain, real-time views on this, how you are managing it is going to be key for everyone. The second aspect that I really look at it is all of us talk about cloud in the sense, and various people on various points in their journey in the cloud. And when we really look at it, there was migrating to the cloud as one thing, modernization as the second thing. But I think customers who are really making a difference are the customers who are able to create a new capability using the cloud technologies. Okay, so if you are not in a position to create a new capability, a new product, leveraging this cloud technologies, I think that is what you need to be focused on. You should be ready with that. I think the heavy lifting in terms of migrations, modernizations is something which will continue. But I think that you should focus on how do I create new capabilities using this
Sure.
technology for my business. And I think those are the conversations that we are having. uh, just from a data perspective, right? There's so much of data, whether from in a manufacturing plant you are talking about, and IT data, OT data, all coming together real time, and being able to predict downtimes, be able to manage supply chain for your consumers in real time. I think those capabilities, I think one needs to invest upon and see how we are going to be able to leverage those capabilities. And the last piece is really the entire integration, right? In terms of how am I integrating with all my partners. And really speaking, what is happening is it is not easy to keep all these moving parts up to date on a continuous basis. It's a mammoth task, right? For the
Yes.
business owners, for the technology owners, for the CTOs in the organization, getting this all aligned, keeping it together is a task in itself. And that is where products and platforms really enable you to do that, because companies keep on investing in their platform solutions or the product solutions. As TCS, we are heavily invested in number of business platform solutions, and these are the solutions which will help you move ahead at a very fast pace with the market needs. And I think that entire thing, as you had rightly pointed out earlier, while you touched upon that as the last pillar, but it's a very critical pillar. And unless you are using a business platform, unless you are using uh, a product platform, and then enabling all your business partners to move fast with that is what I feel is necessary from a market standpoint. So just summing up, I would say your digital supply chain, a real-time supply chain management, you have to look at your data for predictive analytics, look at how you're using cloud. Are you creating new capabilities? I think these are the sum of must-dos for all. That's what my view on that is.
Rajesh can't. I mean, you've done a you've given an explanation and summarization where I couldn't have done it better job. So thank you for that. Actually, you made it so crystal clear as to where you can separate the noise versus the reality, and how you should be looking at it. I think that's fair, because some people will use some buzzwords and try and do some pilots and experiment, but that's not the real value right now. I think real time supply chain, looking at your data analytics engines working together. I think platform orientation brings brings the next gen organization live, whether you're a traditional organization or a digital native. Ritesh, over to you. I think if you, I don't know what we can add more, because Rajesh had done a great job there. But I'm sure from a Red Hat perspective, your thought process would have been to differentiate how we are moving in the future.
Yeah, so I think it's really, we do not really have anything to substantiate that. But yeah, from Red Hat perspective, if you ask me, couple of points here, Salil. uh, Very important one is, we really need to thank open source, right, wherein enterprises are no longer logged into using monolithic proprietary software from a single vendor, and they are actually free to choose the software that suits their needs and the technology which suits their needs,
Yeah,
as per their business requirements today. And in fact, open source has made way for almost all the technology innovations like analytics, what Rajesh spoke about, AI, ML, blockchain, and including the cloud computing, right, for tomorrow or today, what we're talking about. What we really believe that how it is going to be future proof is all around the partnerships, Salil. And that's what I think Rajesh also spoke about. And we at Red Hat really believe that partnerships are fundamental to ensure that our customers are successful. While we have business units that engage with the customers like telcos, banks, public sectors, enterprises, and so on, but a large part of our market coverage is still continued to be led by our partners. That is where the deployment, that is where the platform technology versus the deployment comes to play, right? So, as we see or we talk, right, today, there is a tremendous opportunities for partners, who can identify the multi-cloud, hybrid cloud opportunities and build service delivery capability around it. And with the right service capabilities, the partners can actually generate higher profits as well as, retain and grow their customer base as well. So, what we really believe in it is that, the Red Hat partner ecosystem is an integral part of how Red Hat really develops and delivers business and technical value to the customers. That's what I would say.
absolutely. Ritesh, I was with 100 plus CIOs in a Bhubaneswar for a day, and we did a sort of an analysis, and we said, do you want a linear value or do you want an exponential value? I think the difference was that a linear value is a non sort of a platform orientation architecture. You will always get a good value, you will always grow, you will help your customers grow, but then you cannot have an exponential value. And I was talking to CIOs and I was saying that if a partner, any partner comes to you and says, I will give you a linear value, do not engage with them. That was sort of a red mark I put up. I said, guys, if a partner comes to you and says to you, if I'm going to give you a linear value, he or she is not the right partner to work with. Whether it's a traditional partner like TCS or a new generation partner which are coming as cloud partners. If a partner comes to you and says that I will give you an exponential value, please co-invest with them, because then your coin will change. The face of the coin will become very different from them, right? So I said, in summary, I'll tell you today is three things. One, any relationship, TCS has a customer relationship because you have a relationship with TCS on a partner side. TCS also have a partner relationship with you, and you also have customer relationship. Any relationship sensitivity is very important. I think over the period of time, what we have learned is business value, product alignment, solution is the third side of the story. But the more important is sensitivity of relationship, the anxieties of the customers which you are solving, the social angle of it is very, very important, and that relationship exists. I can see the sound relationship between TCS and Red Hat as we are talking today. It's fantastic to see that. Second pillar, which I would call it, is a everything is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. And many a times, if I look at it, previous 20 years or 2 decades, I think largely we have shifted the needle of being a one-way street to a two-way street. And when I say two-way street, customers are playing an important role with you. You are playing a very important role with them, co-innovating, co-designing, co-creating. I think it has more and more moved towards that side, which is very, very important. I think we will be irrelevant to our customers if we don't do co-innovation, co-create with them, and co-partner with them. So whether partner ecosystem, so it's a two-way street. And the third is a very, very important litmus test. If the customer is able to see the technology, then you're not doing a great job, because technology needs to be invisible. And I always put my, in my own organization, a litmus test. I ask my customers, can you visibly see the technology? And if they say no, I can't visibly see the technology, and still the work is happening, I give a pat to them, to myself and to my team. But if the technology is visible, then don't give pat yourself. There's some bottlenecks needs to be removed, something needs to be done. I think these three things which have come out as outcomes, I would call it, is very important. I have realized it over the period of time. Hope this summarize your thought process, the direction your people are moving as partners, as technologists, as solution providers to the customers, help drive more exponential value rather than a linear value.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for the time today.